What an ambassador for our country. It's good to be here on the Hangover Show. I'm going to confess something. I faked a hangover to get on this show. I went to bed at 10 last night. I feel great. What are you going to do? Pull me off the stage? It's too late. It's already underway. Who's getting the Bloody Marys? Anyone get a Bloody Mary so far? Love a Bloody Mary. Some people say they're gross. I think it's gross to drink tomato juice without vodka and Tabasco sauce in it. That's what I think is gross. Bloody Marys are like Chicago-style hot dogs. Each ingredient on its own, disgusting. All of them together, worth taking a nap afterward, you know? It's good. This is fun being here. Before I move on, I do want to say we should all be drinking, but I want everyone to be responsible. You know, you don't want to drink and drive. The consequences could ruin your life. Not too long ago, I hit a pedal tavern with my car. And the authorities told me I was very fortunate I hadn't had anything to drink that day. Because if I hadn't been completely sober, I might have missed them. And I would still be regretting that to this day, you know? And don't feel too bad for them. They all survived, but their pedal taverning days are through. Unless a couple of them come out of those comas. They deserve it. They deserve it. Okay, I'll quit screwing around. I'll tell you about myself. I'm a former teacher. Used to be an instant applause right there. I would have to quiet the audience. I would have to be like, no, I'm not a hero. It's just a job to me. No, but your instinct to not applaud was correct. I was a terrible teacher. I flamed out after 2 years. It didn't go well at all. What I learned about myself is I'm just a bad authority figure. I always had a really hard time telling my students no, especially when they asked if I was looking to buy weed. Because I was, yes. I hated lying to them, and also I was relying on that discount they would trade me for a C-. You cannot afford to turn down a good deal on a teacher's salary. I think marijuana actually made me a better teacher, matter of fact. Because after I started smoking pot, all of my students' grades drastically improved. Yeah, their essays were pretty hard to read before, but now I'm like, oh, I get it. Their spelling mistakes used to infuriate me, but now they're like fun word puzzles to solve. Exteka? What was he going for here? I was giving those kids a lot of F's before. Now I started giving them FOs. For far out. First time a student ever gave me an apple, and I promptly turned it into a pipe and got high out of it. It was a perfect relationship. Being a teacher was great preparation for being a stand-up comedian, because no show will ever go so bad for me that it will hurt me like just about every day of being a teacher did. The worst show, the worst bomb. That's just an average day of being a teacher. I'm gonna drive off the freeway to and from work. It's terrible. And I think people give kids too much credit sometimes. They think they're all these brilliant roasters. They're really not. They're not. But what kids can do is just throw every possible combination of words together until they find the combination that actually pulls the soul right from your body and tramples on it. A student happened to find that combination with me. He was running all over class. I had to ask him to have a seat, and he told me to shut my mouth. You grilled cheese bitch. Sorry, I'm gonna need a second. I keep thinking I'm strong enough to repeat it. Without feeling it all over again, I'm not there yet. I feel like I just got punched in the stomach. There's no way that kid could have known. That is the absolute worst insult he could have used on me. It really is, because the grilled cheese is my favorite sandwich. And ever since that day, I haven't been able to eat one without feeling like a bitch. A 14-year-old did that to me. Took away my favorite sandwich. That's why I had to start smoking so much weed. Which sucks because I get high and now I can't eat a grilled cheese. I realize I have my own flaws though, and I'm really working to become a better person. Last week I donated blood for the first time. Thank you. You were more supportive of that than being a teacher. That's how bad we need blood. It's not. Does anyone else here donate? Anyone? A couple of us. Is it bad? It's alright. Does the needle hurt? Yeah, a little bit. Like, what's worse than the needle is the barrage of questions beforehand. You know, like it's rude almost. Like if I showed up to help a friend move and he greeted me with an interrogation about my history of intravenous drug usage, I'd probably be like, you know what? How about lift your own dresser? How's that sound? I'm gonna go home. First thing they asked me, right out of the gate, they asked if I've ever had sex with a man. Yeah, I was like, absolutely not. We made love. Okay? How about don't make it sound cheap? Special. It was so special it wasn't even gay. It's that special. Then they asked if I have ever traded sex for drugs, money, or any other form of payment. I was like, I haven't, but that's an option? Are you serious? How would I arrange something like that? All this time, I've just been doing it for clout, like an idiot. Last thing they asked was, they said, in the last 4 months, have you been in contact with anyone else's blood? I was like, well, only if you count my victims. Stab, stab, stab. So I thought I'd be the fun guy at the blood center that day. They told me they would not be using my blood. They were like, we're not going to be needing this donation. I was like, all right, well, I'll try taking it to Goodwill. They didn't want it either. I don't know what's happening. Being a comic's fun. I perform in all kinds of different situations. That's always interesting. Like earlier in the summer, I did a show and I had to follow a cover band. That was, how do I compete with that? You know, they're doing classic rock's greatest hits, so I'm just up here telling jokes. But something struck me during the cover band's performance. Their singer dedicated a song to his stepson. And now I feel like it's my responsibility that if I think of a funny joke, I'm obligated to tell it. You know, it'd be rude to the audience for me to not follow up on that. So when I went up, the first thing I said was give it up for the band again. Can you believe that guy has a stepson? And is in a cover band? Does he just refuse to compose original material? And that was probably unfair to the guy. He didn't do anything to me, but it was funny. Everyone in that room thought it was funny, except for the singer of that cover band. He confronted me after the show. He cornered me, and he gave me like one of those dad pokes to the chest. Well, actually, probably a stepdad poke to the chest. And he was like, "Hey man, I would appreciate you going up there and talking about me. How would you feel if I went up there and I sang about you?" And I was like, well, wouldn't someone else have to write and record the song first? I gotta do it. Audience's obligation. I'm wearing contact lenses up here. That's been a new development for me. I've always been a glasses guy. And nothing wrong with you all. Give it up for the people who are wearing glasses. Nothing wrong with that. I bet there's a couple other contact lens wearers in here too, but I'm not gonna out you. It's up to you if you want to disclose that. I always wore glasses. I never had a problem with it, but then I showed up to a Tinder date, and I was wearing my spectacles, you know, and the first words out of her mouth were, "Ew. You wear glasses?" I was like, when I need to see, yes. I didn't think that was gross. And I will confess, maybe it was a little deceptive of me that I hadn't been wearing the glasses in my profile picture. But I didn't think that was going to be any kind of deal breaker. I wasn't expecting her to be a white supremacist. I'm like, hold up a second here. What's really the turnoff? Is it the frames or the genetic inferiority? Because that's not okay. I don't think that way. Anyway, though, I think I dealt with the situation pretty cool. I just took my glasses off and said, there, now we're both more attractive. That one feels good to tell. That felt good. That felt real good. I almost walked out of that coffee shop with my head held nice and high. But I didn't put my glasses back on before making my dramatic departure. So I just turned around and strutted right into the wall. Smacked right into it. That was embarrassing. I wish I could say that's the worst date I've ever been on, because I managed to get beneath that even one time. And this one I didn't even know was that bad. I went out, boring date, wrapped up early. I'm not expecting much. But she told me she was really active on Twitter, so just out of curiosity, thought I'd check her profile the next day, see if she said anything about me. Boy, do I wish I hadn't done that. That was a mistake. Because sometime overnight, she tweeted a video blog about how she had just been out with the most boring man she's ever met. Which I'm gonna admit, that really hurt. That really got to me. Knowing that immediately after our date, she went out with some other guy. Are you serious? Maybe you shouldn't have wrapped things up so early with me. How about that? I don't think I ever want to see you again, you trollop. And what kind of thing is that to call a guy out over? You can't make a video about a guy being boring, you know? Like, yeah, okay, maybe I almost put you to sleep, but I didn't use pills, all right? My book, that makes me still a pretty good guy. I do like dating, though. It's fun. You learn a lot about yourself. That's nice. I went home with a woman, and she had a clit piercing. I learned I like that. Quite a bit. Yeah, I really did, because it made it so much easier to find. It finally justified the purchase of that metal detector that I bought online. You know, I thought that thing was just going to sit in my closet and gather dust forever. Never found anything on the beach, but buried treasure in the bedroom. I'm considering making that my new slogan. All right, well, the time has arrived for me to perform the joke which will serve as my closer. But before I do, you've been a great audience so far. Give it up for yourselves. This is great. It's great to all being here doing something cool on a Sunday afternoon. I like that we can come together. I like that we can all learn from each other. I think that's important, because I'm trying to be a better person. I think that's kind of a recurring theme. And I found that I really got to listen to people, because I made a lot of assumptions over my life, and I found out I was wrong. Is there a domestic squabble happening in the back room? Someone should cover that. Get a reporter back there, find out what's going on. Get it on World Stars. World Stars still a thing? No, so my false assumption was I came into work and my coworker, she was really upset. I asked her what the problem was. She told me a guy in the street had just called her the worst thing a man can call a woman. And here's where I made one of those assumptions. I said, oh no, he called you the C word? Because my whole life I thought that's the worst insult a man can use against a woman, you know? And apparently not, because she said, no, worse. He called me ma'am. And I felt awful, because I had no idea that was worse. You know, I call women ma'am all the time. I always thought it was polite. But after hearing her explain the issue, I realized that what women have been hearing has sounded like, hey, excuse me, pardon me. Pardon me. You dropped your glove, you old bitch. And when she explained, it really did make sense to me. Because like I just said, ma'am is culturally permissible. Men do call women that all the time. They get away with it. But the C word we only bring out on really special occasions. You know, it's like fine china. You want to make it matter. Like, for example, if you call a woman the C word on the street in an argument, everyone's going to get mad at you. You're obviously the jerk in that situation. But if you call a woman ma'am and she flips out on you, well, she's going to look like a real cunt. That has been my set. That was my closer there. I'm all done. And what a headliner we have got for you tonight. We've seen this woman all over NBC, HBO. Put your hands together. Make all the noise you can for Chastity. Wow.